Ahoy from Annapolis, where the Big Red Machine takes on the defending champions. And the winner sets sail for championship weekend.
Good job, fellas.
Here comes Stanwyck against McLeod. Stanwyck on the inside. The Blue Jays complete the comeback. Jack Stanwyck in overtime.
It's all about that brotherhood. Well, we earned another week together. A year ago, tomorrow, you were packing your stuff up.
An opportunity down low. Quick move by Peterson, he scores. And Cornell will advance.
We earned this week. All right, we get this week together, all right?
From way outside, Nakai Montgomery.
Connor Kelly's on a roll. Slams on the brakes. Sound the bell. Scores it.
Everybody playing now wants to win. It's going to be who's more dedicated, and maybe more importantly, who's more dedicated to each other.
Ivy League Tournament champion Cornell against defending champion Maryland as we bask in the radiance of warm Maryland sunshine here in Annapolis at Navy Marine Corps Stadium. Two more quarterfinal games today. Yesterday, we saw some new blood get to championship weekend. First trip for Yale since 1990. First trip for Albany in program history. And with that, we say good afternoon from Annapolis and East Shroff alongside Quint Kesnick. Old blood yesterday, today, or I should say new blood yesterday, old blood today.
Yeah, historical powers today who understand that their legacies are defined by and tied to winning in the quarterfinals. Get to championship weekend. History is written by the victors.
We're going to see two premier offensive talents today. Jeff Teat for Cornell, he's one of the best passers we've seen to play this game.
He is a distributing savant, both in his skills. He loves the two-handed cradle, and he gets the good spots for himself. But his ability to nail mid-range shots and pass the ball to cutting teammates is exceptional. I mean, he's got the quick release, the great magical wrists, and he is the quarterback of a very efficient Cornell offense. Now, in recent weeks, teams have shut him off. They face-guarded him, and that has impacted Cornell's overall offensive production.
Princeton, Brown, and Syracuse shut off Cornell. Teat's production limited. Yale did not. Teat exploded for 6 points. Maryland's got a pretty good one, too, Paul Carcaterra and Connor Kelly.
You ain't kidding, Anish. Press the perimeter when you're defending Connor Kelly, or he will make you pay. Number one for the Terps is the most feared outside shooter in all of college lacrosse. Goalies will struggle with his speed, but he's much more than that. He has every shot in the book, and he's unpredictable. Kelly's three-quarter release sprays high, hip level, and in the bottom corners. If Cornell doesn't play his hands immediately after he receives the ball, Big Red goalie Christian Knight's head will spin.
Connor Kelly, a Tewaaraton Award finalist. He is listed as a midfielder, but Quinty's generally been an attackman this season.
Well, he's the point man on their fast break. He rarely plays defense. You don't see him playing the wings of face-off. What makes him so difficult to defend is he can beat you from behind the goal, from the wing, and from up top.
We're about set for the opening face-off. Justin Shockey for Maryland and Luca Tria for Cornell. Big Red still without their primary face-off man, Paul Rasimovic. He's missed the last 4 games with an arm injury. And Cornell stepped out of bounds, so Maryland will have possession first. Terps, the defending national champions. They have been to championship weekend 4 years in a row, looking to make it 5 straight. In round 1, not their best performance, trailed at halftime by 3 against Robert Morris before exploding in the third quarter and pulling away with 11 goals in the second half. Maryland will attack. Christian Knight, the goalie for Cornell. He had a big second half in the win against Syracuse last weekend and was sensational in the Ivy League tournament.
Fifth-year senior. from Baltimore, Maryland, has dealt with some leg injuries this season. Righty with tons of experience.
Here is Connor Kelly. Kelly bounces off the defender. And now finds Will Snyder, the junior from Seattle.
The challenge with defending Maryland is dealing with Connor Kelly and then finding someone to cover Jared Bernhardt.
Tim Rotan's the lefty. And a shot and a save by Christian Knight.
Terps like their midfield matchups in this game. The guys in white feel they're bigger, stronger, faster. And so midfield dodging is going to be really the core of their offensive game plan.
In goal for Maryland, Dan Morris. Played well in the NCAA tournament last year when the Terps won it all. 7 of the last 8 games, Morris has had double-digit saves, and already we see Maryland shutting off Jeff Teat with Jack Welding, the sophomore defenseman from Texas.
Talking to John Tillman, the thought process there is why waste Curtis Corley or Bryce Young in a shut-off mode? Welding, your third defender, can do that perfectly fine, which frees up 42 and 41 to play standard defense.
And what we've seen when Cornell has to play 5-on-5, Morris comes up with a save. A rebound taken by Cornell. Cornell's defense, Cornell's offense gets scrambled sometimes when they've got to play 5-on-5 without Jeff Teat. This is one of the more proficient offenses in the country.
Getting used to it though, Anish. In the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's been 5-on-5 routinely for this offense.
Jordan Dowiak, he's a good one. 4th round pick in the MLL draft. Now up top. Shot wide by Jake McCulloch, the junior who had 4 points in round 1.
Tark, you say getting used to it, but the numbers, they average 14 goals a game when Teat is a part of the offense. They only average 8.3 against teams who have chosen to shut him off.
Yeah, last week I thought their offense took the next step with 10 goals against Syracuse.
I mean, you break those goals down, though, many on the extra man, 2 garbage goals. I didn't love what I saw in half-field sets.
I
saw Jeff Teat get a touch there, and he got a shot on goal.
I will say, though, Nick Mellon from Syracuse a week ago, I thought Cornell was more aggressive getting him involved in the game plan. The weeks prior to that, he wasn't taking the ball at the end line. Last week he was. He just matched up against a defender who has some of the best feet in college lacrosse in Nick Mellon.
Agreed.
Quint, what are your keys for Maryland?
They got to take custody of Jeff Teat in some way. If 51 has the ball in his cross, he's going to put up big points. And then utilize midfield dodgers. I like these Maryland matchups against Cornell's midfield defense. I think a guy like Tim Rotance, Will Snyder, Bubba Fairman, DeMayo, and DeMillo could have big days.
Logan Wisnauskas now 12 and white. Over to Anthony DeMayo. 3 assists in round 1 against Robert Morris. Now Jared Bernhardt, who shoots wide. Bernhardt, a terrific high school quarterback who actually considered playing right here in Annapolis, considered coming to Navy to play football.
Orlando area of Florida, an option quarterback. John Tillman telling us he was recruiting Bernhardt against Navy football and Georgia Tech football.
Second midfield getting a run now for Maryland. Here comes Bernhardt. Bernhardt shooting, and Christian Knight gobbles it up.
Don't love the dodge by Bernhardt. We saw Fleet Wallace in the Ivy tournament, Quint, struggle with the speed dodging of Reeves. I'd like to see Bernhardt speed dodge from that area rather than get into Fleet Wallace's body.
Cornell turns it over in transition.
Big Red are the underdog here in East, and a couple things have to happen. As we saw them win the Ivy title and beat Syracuse. Energy, hustle plays. That's who they are. This is a hard hat underdog type team, and they've got to be cleaner. You know, you're not going to beat Maryland if you play a sloppy game and give away possessions, because the guys in white will possess you to death.
Here comes Snyder, plays it back. And they're saved by Christian Knight on a missile from Connor Kelly.
It's a good one.
Bernhardt against Fleet Wallace. Bernhardt, great speed. Gets the step, and Jared Bernhardt here in Annapolis gets Maryland on the board.
Love the adjustment here by 10 and White. Jared Bernhardt athletically might be the best guy on this field. His first attempt against Fleet Wallace tried to get into his body and stopped his feet. This time, it is one speed dodge, pass goal line extended. And if you look here, he doesn't shoot prematurely. He takes another 2 or 3 steps. It looks at first he's going to shoot, and then he takes those 2 or 3 extra steps.
The only person that can stop Jared Bernhardt is Jared Bernhardt. I think he's got some of the best feet in the country. The shooting aspect is the big question mark.
His brothers Jake and Jesse both played lacrosse at Maryland. In fact, Jesse is now an assistant coach, and Jared faced his older brothers in the fall when Maryland had a scrimmage against Team USA. Terps control the draw. Roman Puglisi, the freshman. Now Wisnauskas behind the cage. Defense hung up. Wisnauskas, a transfer from Syracuse. Paul, your keys for the Big Red.
Invert the Terps. I think Maryland struggled, we've seen in games where opposing teams' midfielders go behind and then shade Kelly when he's adjacent. I think anytime that ball's spinning around, you have to press out to number 1. I mentioned in the open, it's the most feared outside shooter in college lacrosse. If you give him just a second to plant his feet, he sprays it.
This Cornell team comes into this quarterfinal having won 10 of 11. Here's Cooper Telesco, sophomore out of Ridgewood, New Jersey. Jeff Teat still being shut off by Jack Welding. Now Colton Rupp. And we get an illegal pick.
Talk about when Teat is shut off. There are many ways for him to get involved. V-cutting is the most simple, that it's kind of cut inside, push off the defender, and break the space. He can set picks for the ball carrier. You can also drag him, Anish, to the hot spot of the defense where you put his man in a conflict position and he becomes the hot man. Paul referenced last week how they used him off the end line on shots that go wide. You can also take some fake shots and trigger your offense that way. And then the last would be to use the sub box or the midline to gain an advantage. He's got to be more active.
Rotan's off the feed from Kelly. Now Bernhardt, shaded by Fleet Wallace, excuse me. This is Bubba Fairman, the freshman out of Utah. Number 2 recruit coming out of high school. There's Jonathan Donville. Up top, Rotan's big left hand, and a little off target. Couple of teams with long and storied histories, Maryland and Cornell, especially in the early days of Division I NCAA lacrosse. Snyder tries to keep it in bounds, and Cornell has it. Unsettled opportunity for the Big Red. Donville. Over to Clark Peterson. Peterson, 45 in red, 5 goals in the round 1 win against Syracuse. That was a game in which Cornell was down, played really well in the second half, 3 for 4 on the extra man, and forced 15 turnovers.
This Big Red offense at their best when they're moving the ball. They're a great assisting team, 9.6 assists per game, number 1 in the country. They work for layups and dunks. Opponents' goalies are less than 40%.
John Piatelli.
They're not an isolation dodging team, and Maryland's going to be slow to double team, forcing Cornell to score some unassisted goals.
Peter Milliman, the interim head coach for Cornell, told us when teams shut off Teat, he really thinks his other 5 guys are good enough to win matchups in a 5-on-5 as Peterson misses. He feels it doesn't have to be all Teat, but from what we've seen, especially the last 3-4 games, The DNA of the offense, as you said, Quint, is the extra pass. That starts with 51.
One more. They all come to life when the ball's in 51 stick as cutters. You watch their highlights this year on YouTube. Some gorgeous cutting goals with great off-ball movement, zippy passing.
McCulloch has to give it up. Now Fletcher. Whistles it wide. Flag is down.
He got jacked after the shot.
White, 3, 8, unnecessary. 1.
Roman Puglisi, who scored a key goal in that Robert Morris third quarter rally. Good-looking freshman has a seat, and you see Coach Tillman now working that iPad.
Candy Crush.
Netflix. He spends a lot of time looking at that screen. It says it gives him a better perspective of spacing. He's looking at video clips.
Yeah, he gets almost real-time feedback. As you said, spacing is what he can really hone in on to make adjustments on the fly. Peterson skips one, shot wide, and that was Jeff Teat.
The iPad would work for
McCulloch.
me. The ADHD would kick in, and the moment, too. Works for some coaches, Quint, doesn't for others.
Yeah, I thought last week against Robert Morris in the first half, he was looking at that screen far too much instead of dealing with the Johnnies and the Joes on the bench. That was a lack of effort and intensity and hustle issue, and that wasn't strategy.
Now Teat has it for Cornell. Teat feeds Rupp. Too high. There just seems to be a different energy for Cornell offensively when Jeff Teat touches the ball.
Everybody comes to life. He talks about the relationship that the six on the field have and the great chemistry, and you see it.
Peterson, doorstep. Now Dowiak. Donville, who's been a man-up specialist. Good pass on the crease. McCulloch couldn't handle it cleanly. It looked like he had a window for a shot, and Cornell turns it over for the third time. Even strength. One 0 Maryland on a Jared Bernhardt goal as we come up on 4 minutes to play in the opening quarter of this quarterfinal game. The winner to championship weekend, and the victor in this game will get either Duke or Johns Hopkins up in Foxborough. The Blue Jays and Blue Devils play later today following this game.
Sensational crowd here on a week here in the Mid-Atlantic that saw 8 inches of rainfall. And fans are here today. I mean, this is a great scene in Annapolis.
We were talking before the game. If they could make it work, this would be a terrific permanent home for NCAA lacrosse. Maryland was in the crease. Cornell has it.
Baseball has the road to Omaha. Why not make lacrosse the road to Annapolis? The big hurdle, though, is Memorial Day weekend. The Naval Academy has their graduation, so why not have lacrosse bump the season back a week or two?
A problem you could potentially run into. Then you start bumping into some of the other championship events for other spring sports. You have the Women's College World Series out in Oklahoma City. Baseball moves into its regional round.
Who can win their matchup right now if you're a Cornell fan? Who can beat their man off the dribble, off the dodge, and draw a double team? Or score an unassisted goal?
Now here's Jeff Teat getting free. And he's got Welding, the sophomore out of South Lake Carroll High School in Texas. Big football power. Teat 97 points, third nationally behind Ben Reeves and Justin Gutterton. Teat backing down against Welding. There's the double from Young. Teat somehow holds on. Skips it over. One more. There's that extra pass. Morris comes up with the save. Teat tracks down the rebound.
Great passing. Dan Morris, big. Fills it up. Severe angle shots do not go against this Maryland defense.
There's Donville. He's been a man up and zone buster. Donville wide, and Maryland has the backup. That was the best look Cornell has had with Teat, again, being involved offensively.
Yeah, you know, he always keeps two hands on that stick. The Terps are sloppy in the clear.
Cornell's got a chance to get it back. A flag is down.
One, two, push, 30.
Officials today, P.J. Colello, Tom Holland, and Jim Blankney. So a man-up opportunity now for Cornell. 32nd man-up. Big Red 0 for their last 9 with the extra man.
Morris fills up the goal, okay? He's a good 6'1", 215. You've got to get to the paint, the middle of the field.
Big Red not 0 for their last 9 of the extra man. They had 3 extra man goals against Syracuse. 0 for their last 9 shooting.
Watch 23 in red here, Dowiak. He's their best perimeter shooter.
Peterson, Donville. There's Dowiak. Feeding Rupp. Had Peterson on the wing, didn't see him. Good recovery by Maryland.
Teat being shut off.
So essentially 4-on-4 here for Cornell.
Now we're back.
Now Teat gets back free, but we're back to even strength. And Teat's got a short stick. He's going to isolate DeMillo. Now DeMillo runs off. You get a switch.
1 minute remains in the first quarter.
Teat doubled. So smooth against the pressure. Sophomore out of Canada. Teat. You heard the yells of timeout coming from the Cornell bench. And with 46 seconds to go, the Big Red will try to draw something up. Maryland with a 1-0 lead on a Jared Bernhardt goal. Cornell looking for the equalizer late in the first.
The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships is brought to you by Just Crack an Egg. Breakfast is hot again, and it wants you.
On the left, John Tillman, the Maryland head coach. 8th season, 6 trips to championship weekend. Maryland has played 5 times on Memorial Day. Peter Milliman, the interim head coach at Cornell, has recalibrated the culture for the Big Red. This was a team that won 5 games last year, 13 wins this season, and playing for a spot in Foxborough and a championship weekend. And it's been a busy month for Milliman. He and his wife Meg gave birth to a baby girl named Reese. Milliman became a quadragenarian, turned 40. Ivy League tournament championship.
A lot of their culture goes back to 2004 when George Boiardi, Cornell player, lost his life. And the book, The Hard Hat, is really the foundation of who Cornell lacrosse is and wants to be. They touch a sign in the locker room before every game, and he says, I will give my all to Cornell today.
And they bring that sign to every road game. In fact, it's with the Big Red in the locker room today. Final 25 seconds of this first quarter. Jeff Teat has it, guarded by Bryce Young. Now here comes Teat. Gets the pick from Dowiak. Teat initiates the contact. 10 seconds to go in the quarter. Teat trying to get around Young, who knocks it away. Picked up by Cornell and Fletcher. And that takes us to the end of the first quarter. Maryland shut off Jeff Teat, and as a result, shut out Cornell in the first 15 minutes. We have played one in Annapolis. The defending champions on a Jared Bernhardt goal have a 1-0 lead. One 0 Maryland, start of the second quarter in Annapolis. Moments ago, Paul Carcaterra caught up with Cornell interim head coach Peter Milliman.
Coach, when Jeff's getting shut off and you have to play 5-on-5, what's critical for your offense?
Well, that we play smart offense, that we're not just overly focused on getting the ball to Jeff, although most of what we're doing is trying to incorporate opportunities for him to get the ball in our offense. You know, it just needs to be disciplined. I mean, we've had opportunities. We probably had more shots than them. You know, we're not catching the ball. We're not shooting smart. So that's probably the biggest priority.
What's been the game plan in terms of limiting Connor Kelly's touches?
Probably pretty similar to theirs on Jeff. If we can get him less touches, you know, I think that favors us. So that's the plan.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Justin Shockey and Luca Tria at the Face-Off X here at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium in Annapolis, Maryland. Beautiful sight, beautiful star, beautiful sun-spangled Sunday afternoon. Maryland's got the draw as quarter number 2 is underway. Only one goal in the first stanza. That was Jared Bernhardt, who considered coming to Navy to play football.
When Maryland wins more than 50% of their face-offs under John Tillman, they're very difficult to beat because they play at such a methodical pace. They rank 68th in the country in terms of pace out of 70 teams. They go slow, so they need the lead, they need face-offs, and then they're in the controlling posture.
What's unique about that is we have seen Maryland thrive playing at a faster tempo. They can beat you in a number of ways. Here's Connor Kelly, now Will Snyder. 7 goals on the season. Defense is hung up. Bernhardt waiting, dancing. Picked up by Dom Doria. Bernhardt. He's got both Maryland goals. That's actually Logan Wisnauskas.
Big redshirt freshman from up the road in Boys Latin in Baltimore, 6'3", 215. Watch how he uses his body and his size to get to prime real estate. Right there, the body lean. Gets up past the 5x5, gets up to about 10 yards north of the goal line extended. The defense leaves Doria, the freshman, on a complete island. There's no help. There's no fake double team. And Wisnauskas, as we say, dodges to the paint.
Credit his teammates, Quint. They did a nice job of clearing out. So they had that Cornell defense hung out, but the 5 other white shirts really cleared his way so he could dodge. You don't see that out of Wisnauskas too much. He's not that big of a dodger. He's kind of a set shoot guy, can pass the ball in transition, but that's another dimension of his game you need to see as the season progresses into championship weekend.
Shockey and Tria. And Shockey wins this one for Maryland.
It's interesting, Wisnauskas the last 2 weeks, in my estimation, has played his 2 worst games of the year. He's a freshman. He's got final exams. You get hit by that freshman wall late in the year as the season is so long. And I get the feeling that John Tillman put his arm around Logan this week and said, hey, everything's going to be okay. Get your extra rest. Put in your extra practice. You know, we love you. And you see him step up today.
He redshirted, Wisnauskas did at Syracuse last year. And Kark, remember when we were down visiting with the Orange before the quarterfinals last year? Now the chatter amongst some of the players there was Wisnauskas was one of the best offensive talents they had last year, but he was redshirting.
Oh yeah, broke their hearts in the offseason when he asked for a release from John Desko, who penciled him in as a lefty starting attackman.
On the doorstep, now Bernhardt retreats and a save made by Christian Knight. Knight in the Ivy League tournament had 35 saves. He was the tournament MVP and a big reason why Cornell made it to the NCAA tournament.
Nice effort. You see Kelly dive there, Anise? Keep that alive for his teammate.
Gotta love that, Quint. We saw Connor Fields make a huge play, too. It's the little things for an attackman. Ride, ground balls, second chance opportunities.
Kelly's been quiet so far. Not a ton of offense.
Left side of your screen. Terrific ride. You see the confidence, size of this Maryland team.
Bernhardt on the inside off the feed from Fairman.
And they capitalize.
From the state of Utah, grow the game. Feeds a kid from Florida. Never would have seen that 20 years ago. Bubba Fairman played a lot of attack in high school too. So comfortable behind the cage. So when he takes the opposing team's defenses behind the cage, it's a midfielder like Dowiak who's out of his comfort zone. And you see the feeding ability of Fairman. He is a star in the making, Quint.
Freshman from Utah. His dad, Jay, built a field of dreams in his backyard. Utah high school lacrosse now exploding. 42 teams. Last night they had their state championships. Congratulations to Park City, undefeated, Mountain Crest, and then East beat Spanish Fork. And the Utah Utes going D1 next year in East with head coach Brian Holman in the Pac-12.
A lot of anticipation for that program. Fairman actually played baseball until 4th grade. Then his dad said, listen, you're going to stop baseball for 1 year and give lacrosse a try. After Bubba's first lacrosse game, he told his dad, sell all the baseball equipment. Let's get some new lax gear.
That valley is loving lacrosse. The Utes will square off with Vermont on February 1st. It's a game I'm working hard to get ESPNU to cover.
It'd be great to go out there.
It's a landmark moment, similar to when Michigan, a BCS program, added men's varsity lacrosse.
A lot of people on the West Coast wondering when Pac-12 lacrosse becomes a reality. Fletcher's shot saved by Morris, the rebound taken by Maryland. Wow! Woo-hoo! Erased, here's Teat, feeds inside, and Cornell gets on the board. Teat to his old high school teammate Clark Peterson, and off of chaos, Cornell capitalizes.
That'll be a spark and an energy goal at a time where Cornell needed it. How you doing? Teat's there to scoop up the loose ball. They got a 2-on-1. O'Connell gets crushed by McCulloch.
Tattooed. O'Connell got his bell rung. And Clark Peterson, you saw the feed from Teat. You guys mentioned the high school teammates. There's confidence there that he can just chuck the ball to him. And Peterson, it looks like he has no angle, but just the confidence and the poise to make that fake and get Morris off his pipe.
Teat and Peterson played for the great Brody Merrill at the Hill Academy up in Canada. Peterson, a junior captain. A captain is a sophomore. Here come the Terps. A chance for a long pole goal, and they get it. Michael Adler, the senior who transferred from UMass Lowell with his first goal of the season. And you talk about just taking the momentum right back.
Goals directly off of face-offs are worth like double credit. It almost takes 3 possessions to score on average, and boom, just as Cornell was sniffing this thing, you see the great face-off work by Shockey, the flip to Adler, who filled in so admirably last week when Nick Brzezowski was hurt. And Maryland can run.
You know, Quint, when a long stick scores, it's one thing, but when it's a long stick who hasn't scored a goal all season, I'm right next to the Maryland bench, man. They go bonkers.
Brendan Salvatore facing off for Cornell. Big Red going with a long pole at the X, and he's able to win it to himself clean. And now Cornell with the ball.
when you watch Salvatore face off, okay, he uses that long stick. He's had a Taft. He's a sophomore, really good athlete. He's a left-hander. So when you watch the replay of that face-off, all face-offs are done right-handed. He's got to scoop it out, and then seamlessly he changes hands. It's really quite amazing that he's able to do that.
Matt Licciardi, the freshman. Licciardi with the assist. And Cornell comes right back. It's 4-2. Cooper Telesco.
Telesco showed me something in the Dome last week in that first round game. He was assertive in the 5-on-5 sets. He's a big, strong kid. But Licciardi, the undersized sophomore midfielder, knows exactly where that slide is coming from. And Telesco, rather than getting too low, stays high. He's patient there, knowing that if he gets that ball, it's time, it's room, it's high cheese.
Licciardi, a high-end recruit from Cold Spring Harbor, number 40 recruit on Inside Lacrosse's top 100. Terrific quicks. Telesco, power. Injured quite a bit during his freshman year. He's a good-looking sophomore. His brother Tripp was a star at Lehigh.
Matt Licciardi's brother played at Penn. We get a face-off violation. So Maryland has it with a 4-2 lead. Defending champions looking to go to championship weekend for a 5th straight season. Connor Kelly's got it. Kelly and these Maryland seniors have played on Memorial Day as freshmen, sophomores, into juniors, winning it all last year.
Senior class is very different from last year's group.
Bernhardt looking to get top side.
Last year's group had strong personalities.
Now Rotans, left hand free. Unable to get the shot off.
Think about last year, Matt Rambo, Colin Heacock, Isaiah Davis, Allen. Terrific leaders, strong personalities.
John Tillman said this is a quieter team. A tight-knit team, but a quieter team. The leadership of Rambo and Heacock especially hit you in the face last year. Kelly more of a quiet senior captain. Licciardi from up top. He assisted on the last Cornell goal. Draws the slide. Telesco. That was a good idea. That was the same idea they had before.
Telesco playing with wonderful confidence. I love it. The goal last week in the Dome unassisted. The kid's going to be a player, man. He's only a sophomore. As I said, 6'1", 210, and he can run.
Timeout Maryland with 8:31 to go in half number 1. The first of 2 quarterfinal games here in Annapolis as we look to fill the championship weekend bracket. We've got Maryland sunshine. We've got clouds stacked like friendly scoops of ice cream, azure blue skies. This is lacrosse weather how it should be. Jeff Teat today still without a goal, still without a point for Cornell, and Maryland's strategy has been the same one that Princeton, Brown, and Syracuse employed, Quint.
Yeah, he averages 5.7 points per game, and you see when he's shut off in 3 of those 4 games, the overall team production slumped. They lost that Princeton game. I think the strategy caught them off guard a bit. Princeton basically face guarded them the entire game. They were willing to allow Teat to be a spectator in the Brown game. Yale played him straight up, and he torched him. And Yale's playing next weekend, last I checked. Congratulations to Andy Shea.
Cornell beat Yale by 6 in the Ivy League championship. Teat does have 1 assist, had the assist on the first goal by Peterson. There is Peterson. Over to Donville. Now Licciardi. Licciardi's been able to dodge and draw slides.
He's a quickness issue for Puglisi, for 38, for Puglisi. Telesco is playing with great confidence, and he looks like he can draw double teams. So those guys should be the prime initiators.
There is Telesco, now Licciardi. They play catch.
Licciardi's a guy I watched in high school, and he literally never came off the field for Cold Spring Harbor, where he won state championships. Faced off, played midfield offense, defense, all over the field.
Shot clock against Cornell. Teat. Telesco. Licciardi. Cornell moving it around. That was a good look, but off target.
Terrific offense from strong side of the formation. You get that ball reversal. The key there, though, Donville's got to step up field to improve his angle.
8 seconds on the shot clock. Here comes Teat from the wing. Dumps it back. Licciardi up top. Telesco. And now 3 seconds on the shot clock. A shot on goal is the only thing that satisfies the clock. Teat feeding inside. And it'll be a shot clock violation. Cornell's a team that averages almost 14 goals per game.
Pulver, 34 in Reds, done a nice job on Connor Kelly thus far. The issue for the issue for Cornell has been dealing with Jared Bernhardt, 10 in Reds.
Point, we thought that would be the issue, right? Pulver, I think, matches up well from an athletic standpoint on Kelly, who likes to get his hands free and get into the body of defenders. He's a strong guy, Culver. But it's Bernhardt and the speed that kind of drives every defense nuts.
DeMeo, all-time leading scorer in the history of California lacrosse. Of San Diego.
Your favorite city?
Greatest city in the history of mankind. Now Bernhardt feeding inside, and there's DeMeo to cash in. Jared Bernhardt has now had a hand in 3 of Maryland's 5 goals.
Terrapin Nation like what they're seeing. Bernhardt's got Fleet Wallace hung up. Draws the double team, and there's no defensive rotation down the backside. So if you're going to send 2 to double team Jared Bernhardt, the rest of the defense has to recognize and rotate.
There was some communication issues there for Cornell because Bockelman, 26 in red, and Fleet Wallace is defending Jared Bernhardt. He was the go guy there. DeMeo was being guarded by Bockelman. They both go when he's hung. Mass confusion for the Big Reds D.
Face-off violation on Cornell. They used Salvatore again, the long pole. 5.5 to play in the first half. Winner to championship weekend. Second game today, Johns Hopkins and Duke. The last of the 4 quarterfinal matchups. Yale and Albany advanced yesterday.
How enjoyable was that face-off showdown between T.D. Erlin and Trevor Baptiste yesterday? And thanks to Greg Gorelian for joining us, really elevating our coverage. I loved it. To me, it was so memorable, Nish. I've never experienced something like that within a game. The game within the game.
You wonder if they can live up to the hype. Connor Kelly has lived up to the hype all season. His first tally of the afternoon and a 4-goal advantage.
Clark, 2 things stand out about this goal. Is his ability to catch and release quickly and to position himself in the middle of the field where the goal, tell the young viewers how the goal is bigger when you're shooting top center.
Oh, you're not kidding. I mean, he's looking at all of that 6x6. A lot of guys will hedge and fly down to the sides of the cage and you decrease your angle. Kelly knows that. And Cornell is sloughing inside. He's the farthest man from the ball. They don't think he's a threat. But the fact of the matter is this guy is the best outside shooter in college lacrosse. So if you're Cornell, I don't care where he is, if he's the closest man to the ball or if he's farthest. You have to press out on him at all times and expect him to get those skip passes to shred the corners.
Spent his summer trying out for Team USA. His improvement this season has been remarkable as a passer. But you talked about it in the open, a variety of release points on his shots. Overhand, three-quarter, sidearm, or underhand. John Tillman mentioned that Connor can morph into anything we want him to be.
A shapeshifter, a chameleon.
There's 3 guys that stand out from a shooting perspective in the last 4 or 5 years for me, in terms of their release points and how unpredictable they are. It's Ryan Brown from Johns Hopkins a few years ago. I had no clue where the ball was going. He had the underhand release, the overhand. He'd spray high, mid-high, down in the corners. Ethan Walker's another guy from Denver. Really hard to track his shot. And then the third guy is this stud right here today, one in white.
How about Deemer Class from Duke? Big guy I might want to add to that list.
Yeah.
As a midi shooter.
I'll take him as a fourth for sure.
The winner of this game will take on the winner of Hopkins and Duke. That game later today. We're looking to complete the field up in Foxborough. Yale reaching championship weekend for the first time since 1990 yesterday. Albany, first trip to championship weekend in program history.
You see the Blue Jay tailgaters out there in the lot, Anish.
We saw our guy, Cornell Willis.
Scotty Barr's going to be out there today. As a dad, just enjoying a beautiful Sunday. Congratulations to Scotty and the entire Great Danes staff and team and fans. Well-deserved and a long time coming.
For folks who are new to lacrosse or who haven't seen Albany, it's going to be something different, something wild on the big stage. And now that Albany has reached championship weekend, the pressure is off, and they're playing with house money. That becomes a dangerous team. That's probably the last team you want to face playing with house money.
I love the fact that we have 2 new faces in championship weekend.
For ticket information and championship updates, visit ncaa.com/lacrosse. Cornell tallies its 3rd goal.
Dowiak, the senior from Del Barton in Jersey, Major League Lacrosse draft pick. Most of Cornell's unsuccessful shots have come from a severe angle. This was one from range. Paul, you warned us about Jordan's range, but again, he's semi towards the middle of the field where the goal is big, and he makes Morris move pipe to pipe, and the big goalie from Texas doesn't get there.
You know what he also does, Quint? Shoots right off the hip of a defender. So you might think you're a little bit out of your range, even if you're Jordan Dowiak, who's got a cannon from the outside. But having that defender come out at you, and if you still can get the stick around his hip, that gives you a couple extra yards. Because I don't think Morris had a clean shot, and to top it off, he puts it in the lower corner.
The scouting report on Morris is you want to make a move. He's a big guy. He's a standstill, almost like a hockey goalie. If you can ask him to move pipe to pipe, I think you're going to have more success.
Off the face-off ball, pops into the air. Cornell's got it. Piatelli, freshman from Massachusetts, gives it up. And now the Big Red will get set. Jeff Teat still being shut off by Welding. And Cornell will attack 5-on-5. Here comes Fletcher, size and speed. Dowiak there to back up is Piatelli.
And you see Morris reacting to his defense like, hey, you got to get out and play him. You got to get out and play him. Uncomfortable with what he's seeing from 23 in red.
Well, now Teat is going to initiate the offense from the back line. And picked up by Bryce Young. 98 points on the season for Jeff Teat. Dowiak setting the pick. Here's Fletcher.
I think this guy could be trouble, 27 in red.
McCulloch now. Morris got a piece of that one. McCulloch trying to track it down in the corner. It'll stay with Cornell. Why do you say that, Clark?
Look at him. He's like 6'3", 215 pounds, he can shred defenders.
Opportunity there for the Big Red.
We've seen him also, Anish and Quint, in the Ivy tournament, make some next-level dodging type moves, shooting on the run. I just don't even know if he knows what his potential is, 27 in red.
A timeout with 3:13 to go in this opening half. Maryland using its second timeout. In the early days of Division I NCAA lacrosse, that's the 70s, Maryland and Cornell were the two powers. Cornell won the first ever national championship in 1971. That's Division I NCAA championship. 1976, Maryland and Cornell meeting in the championship game. The Big Red winning 16-13 in overtime to complete a perfect season. And Q, overtime was a little different back then.
Yeah. Had the game been in sudden victory like it is now, Maryland would have an extra championship. But Mike French, unstoppable. The great Eamon McEnany for Cornell. So many legends in that game. If you get an opportunity, Google it. It was attached to the article that I wrote for Inside Lacrosse this week. What soundtrack would you play under those highlights, Anish? You go back to maybe a little Grateful Dead. 75, Maryland had won the championship. Cornell, that was an undefeated team in 76. It was kind of like the convergence of the two great powers at the time. A game that was televised by ABC Wide World of Sports. Frank Gifford on hand, the first for lacrosse.
And the first of back-to-back championships for Cornell, winning in 76 and 77 before the great Johns Hopkins run began in earnest.
Frank Urso could run, Clark, man. You watch those highlights.
Yeah.
He could run like the wind. He was so quick.
Unreal. There's certain guys that played way back when, and you couldn't believe they weren't on intense weight programs. Frank Urso was one. His legs were so jacked. And then you look at the college lacrosse pictures of Jim Brown in the 50s at Syracuse. Like, you're going to tell me that guy didn't squat?
Unfair. There's the Hopkins contingent looking on. In Dick Schaap's memoir, there's a great story he tells about what it was like to be a Cornell goalie with Jim Brown running straight at you.
One. Right side. Righty. Five lefty.
Here comes Fletcher. There's that strength to go along with the speed. Fletcher firing on the run. Piatelli there for the backup. 2:56 to go in this second quarter.
When the light bulb clicks on for Connor Fletcher, look out.
The speed comes from his family line, his great uncle, one of the great track stars in the history of Cornell lacrosse. And that time, it's Peterson cashing in from in close. The Big Red starting to possess the ball. Their offense getting into a rhythm. After that 3-0 start by Maryland, Cornell has recovered.
At 6-2, it didn't look good. But they've shown uncommon grit all season long. You saw it last weekend up in the Carrier Dome when they were down. Dowiak left-handed down the alley, flip inside, and there's Peterson, the junior from Toronto.
Got to make plays that you're not accustomed to. Jordan Dowiak only had 6 assists coming into today's contest, and I would bet none of them were backhand or with his left hand. But this is the type of offense Peter Milliman wants to see when Jeff Teat is being denied the ball. Have confidence in the other 5 guys. Force them to make plays.
The DNA of this Cornell offense is the extra pass. And all 4 Cornell goals have been assisted. Shockey wins the faceoff. Kelly, one-handed cradle. 2.5 to go in the opening half.
3. Yeah. All right.
Beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Annapolis. Great crowd on hand.
You're right. Sound hot.
Spectators getting to bask in some sunlight, not having to deal with umbrellas. There's Fairman. Maryland looking to get the championship weekend for a 5th consecutive season. Spent time as the #1 team in the country this year. Cornell comes into this game having won 10 of its last 11. Beat Yale in the Ivy League championship. Here comes Bernhardt. He's had a big first half and a save made by the MVP of the Ivy League tournament, Christian Knight. Anish Shroff, Quint Kesnick, Paul Carcaterra with you from Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. Ryan Boyle, Matt Ward, and Chris Cotter waiting in our Bristol studios when halftime rolls around. Fletcher. They've got Rotans trapped on defense. Now Fletcher against Rotans. Fletcher against Rotans, 45 seconds. Piatelli. Maryland Steele shutting off Jeff T. 1 assist in the first half for the Cornell sophomore. Could see a shot clock here soon. 20 seconds. Well, I guess pointless now. Fletcher against Rotans. Fletcher gets the step too high. 9.6 seconds to go in this first half. Can Cornell close to within 1? Teat will initiate against Bryce Young. Here comes Teat. Young staying with him. Teat triple teamed. Maryland knocks it out. And the Terps will take a 2-goal lead into the locker room as a stray stick finds its way to the crease.
There's a flag down.
There is a flag down
at the 25-yard line.
Great moments of glory from great opportunity. The NCAA commitment to the highest level of class and well-being, along with the pursuit of excellence in both academics and athletics.
Bryce Young pitchforks him, lifts him off his feet, and then gets help from his mates like piranhas on Teat.
Which means Cornell will begin the second half with the ball and up a man. Down to Paul.
Coach, I know you're not happy with that flag down call, but let's look at your defense as a whole. When you're defending Jeff Teat and denying the ball, when you go 5-on-5, what's the biggest concern to get out of that base defense?
Well, I thought they did a good job of getting us high, and they got some leverage, and then we weren't organized with our slide pattern. So we took a timeout. Coach Bernhardt made some good adjustments, and I think we're okay there. We just got to tighten some things up. We had some breakdowns and some lack of communication.
How will you continue to give Jared Bernhardt the looks offensively if they mix things up for you guys?
We just got to keep playing. We have a lot of different wrinkles that we can throw at them, depending on how they want to play things. Like they shorted Timmy Rotans, who's just, I mean, for us, that's a really good situation. And if they keep doing that, we're really happy. We can let him and Jared work together. And then, from there, we'll just, keep spinning the ball. I just think we got to get the ball in offense and make them work a little bit. First quarter, a lot of empty possessions. We play a lot of defense.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Time to get it to the studio for the halftime report. Matt Ward, Ryan Boyle, and your host, Chris Cotter. The stands at Navy Marine Corps Stadium painted red for Maryland and Cornell. The defending champs take a 2-goal lead to the second half. With Quint Kesnick, I'm Anish Shroff. First half, Maryland jumped out to a 3-0 lead, led 6-2 at one point. And Jared Bernhardt, who thought about playing football at one point in this very stadium, had a big first half.
I think he's Maryland's best offensive player in this game, and I think he can own his matchup now going forward in the second half. It was Maryland's offense, but in the second quarter, that was really much more efficient. Here you see his speed, his ability just to accelerate and turn the corner to pay dirt. And then Bernhardt on the tail end finishing inside, showing great patience and handle. Here's a two-man game where Cornell's defense, Dan Bockelman, will end up double teaming off of the inside. Nobody helps on the Cornell defense. Anytime you double the ball, there's got to be rotation behind it. That's just too easy for the Terps.
Looking at first half stats, Maryland has controlled the face-off X. Cornell +9 in shots. Saves 6 for Dan Morris against one of the most efficient offenses. Down to Kark.
Well, Anish just spoke to both coaches. We'll start with Peter Milliman from Cornell. He said it's all about the middle of the field. They're not clean. Quint, you mentioned to beat a Maryland team that's so dialed in terms of their game plan, you have to clear the ball well. You have to scoop those balls in between the two restraining boxes. They're not doing that. Offensively, he said, with Jeff being shut off, a lot will rely on midfield dodging. I also spoke to John Tillman. He's not thrilled with the way that the defense is adjusting in some of those 5-on-5 sets because typically that is not their base defense, so he's asking those guys to think a little bit quicker and harder.
Cornell's been a pretty good second half team this season. Had a chance to make it a one-goal game right off the bat. No face-off to begin the third quarter because of a penalty to end the first half. So Cornell with the extra man to begin the third quarter. Here's Jake McCulloch. Skip pass, Dowiak. First team All-Ivy League selection. Gets it back from Colton Rupp. Rupp, goal line extended, back up top, Dowiak. Now McCulloch. Dowiak fires, saved by Morris. His 7th stop. And the ground ball vacuumed by Adler. And again, Maryland deciding to shut off Jeff Teat. Cornell essentially went 5-on-4 there for that man up. This Maryland team spent time as the #1 team in the country in the polls. Only 3 losses this year, 1 to Albany, 1 to Ohio State, and then to Johns Hopkins in the Big Ten tournament final.
Cornell double polling the midfield right now, covering Logan Wisnauskas, an attackman, with a short stick midfield defender.
Do you like that?
Well, they get the poll on Rotans, which is the positive.
You heard John Tillman tell Paul Carcaterra at the end of the first half that that was a matchup they liked, Rotans against what was then a short stick. Pulver's done a nice job on Kelly today. Jake Pulver, the senior defenseman for Cornell, elite cover guy. 7 years ago this May, he had his large intestine removed. Had a digestive issue, ulcerative colitis in high school, dropped 45 pounds. All the big schools backed off, including Cornell at one point before the Big Red got back in. And Pulver has rewarded them with a terrific career.
34 in red, the emotional leader.
There's Wisnauskas. Now picked up by the pole. Dangerous pass there by Kelly. Fairman had a step. Fairman against the short stick. Feeding the crease. Bubba Fairman finding Wisnauskas. 7-4.
That's a pair of assists for Bubba Fairman, Utah native. Took a PG year at Deerfield. He wears number 2 because Colin Heacock wore that number last year. And they share one thing in common, and that's charisma. Here you see a freshman now playing his best ball when it matters. And once again, Cornell not on the same page defensively, Kark. They send 2 for the ball handler, and they leave a man in front wide open.
They're so concerned about Bubba beating the short stick from behind, and you know what? They should be, because Bubba has serious game. I look at Bubba as a first-team All-American talent down the road. I wouldn't be shocked if they pair him with Jared Bernhardt on attack when Connor Kelly graduates. And Bubba Fairman was actually supposed to play college lacrosse at the Naval Academy. He just blew up after his junior season at the Under Armour games, and everyone wanted a shot at Bubba, weighed his options, and John Tillman has a dandy.
You two were at the Under Armour All-American game last year. Do you remember Bubba Fairman's celebration after he scored?
I do.
It was the RKO. For wrestling fans, Randy Orton has a signature move. And I hope I'm telling this story right. It's the RKO, right, where you basically jump a guy from behind and drop him.
I was worried about his crash test dummy because it looked kind of violent.
They rehearsed it. They practiced it. Nobody got hurt.
Under Armour game will be on ESPNU late June. Paul, I, myself, Sheehan Stanwyck, and Booker Corrigan on hand from Johns Hopkins. Top 40 boys and girls lacrosse players in the country.
I'll tell you what, when you go down there, I had a blast watching the underclass guys, the next up type guys that play in the afternoons prior to the senior All-American game. And the talent is insane coast to coast now.
Fletcher. Over to McCulloch, second team All-Ivy. Now Rupp. Colton Rupp, that third attackman with Teat and Peterson. Rupp turned away. Race to the sideline, won by Cornell and Jeff Teat. So now Teat will trigger the offense from the far side against Curtis Corley. Teat doesn't take the pick. Dowiak sets it again. Now Teat. One assist today. One of the top scorers in the nation. 97 points entering play. Teat stays with it. To Fletcher. McCulloch. Teat against Corley, who pound for pound is Maryland's strongest defender. Pass to the crease comes to Dan Morris. Maryland's done a pretty good job defending Jeff Teat today, even when he's had the ball, Quint.
Yeah, their bench loved that possession. You got Corley, and I was so impressed by his technique and his defensive posture, keeping that stick top side, not letting Teat be strong to the left. And you had guys off ball doing their job. You know, when you're covering a guy like Peterson inside, you better be absolutely glued to him. Any space against the Canadian will come back to haunt you as a defender.
Bubba Fairman, birth name Cole, but he came out of the womb weighing 13 pounds. And the name Bubba stuck from birth. Bernhardt. Save made by Knight.
Everything but the finish for Jared Bernhardt, and he'll put in the time this summer because I think he could be a 50 or 60 goal scorer if he cleans up his finishing ability.
Bernhardt had a terrific freshman season last year playing midfield, and John Tillman a season ago implored Bernhardt to be more assertive and aggressive, and that mandate still holds true even though Bernhardt has taken that next step as a sophomore. Failure to clear.
Again, Maryland now, like they did last week in the third quarter, playing with just a heightened energy level in each. This is a championship team that can taste it.
Here's Kelly against Pulver. After being down 3 at the half to Robert Morris last week, Maryland used a 6-1 third quarter run to put the game away. Fairman. Flag is down against Cornell.
Defending champs, they've been the attacking champs.
Fairman. And now the penalty.
Terps went to the White House, the State House, cover of every magazine. It's been a victory tour.
Now Maryland will go man up. And by the way, John Tillman, we ran into him, Kark and I, on the way to the stadium this morning. Kark has a tight connection after the second quarterfinal, so he needed to park his car in a place that's convenient for him to get out quickly so he doesn't miss his flight. John Tillman offered to give Kark his parking space.
My connection's not that tight. I just don't like sitting in traffic.
You found a better spot, though, than the one
I
Tillman
did.
offered.
It's not my first rodeo, man.
Cornell shutting off Connor Kelly behind the goal.
Doing it with Ryan Bray.
It's a 5-on-4 in front. The defense is in a box or a diamond formation.
Skip pass. Bubba! The freshman embracing the big stage. Couple of assists. Now he's got his first goal of the afternoon.
Bubba. What a name. What a game. We saw his feeding prowess in the beginning stages of this game and in the third quarter. Now he's spraying and pinning corners. Fairman has the Terps up.
The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships is brought to you by...
This Maryland senior class has played in 3 straight championship games. 2015, the Terps fell to Denver 10-5 in the city of Philadelphia. The following year, heartbreaking overtime against unseeded North Carolina. Chris Cloutier bagged the game winner in overtime. But the championship drought ended last May. Maryland, in its 3rd meeting of the season with Ohio State, prevailed 9-6. First championship since 1975. It's amazing. Since that 1975 title, Maryland had lost in the championship game 9 times prior to winning it all last year.
John Tillman telling us the alums, there was a certain happiness and tears, and he's received thanks for players from past generations. And now it's on this senior class. Guys like Tim Rotance, Connor Kelly.
We talked so much about it yesterday with teams like Yale and Albany trying to get over that hump and getting to the semifinals. You mentioned it, Kark mentioned it, this quarterfinal round sometimes is the hardest to win in the tournament, because if you lose, you're forgotten. You win, you stamp your program. A championship weekend appearance becomes a bookmark in your school's history. But of all the teams in the field, Maryland, you would think, would be the most comfortable on this stage because they've done it. And in a lot of ways, the pressure is off as we get a timeout.
Yeah,
the pressure is off of Maryland after winning that championship last year. ESPN Plus is your home for more sports, more schools, more conferences, more ESPN. If you're a lacrosse fan, this is a must. It's just $4.99 a month. Cornell fans, you get the Ivy League Digital Network as part of the ESPN Plus package, only $4.99 a month. Chance to watch some really great college lacrosse throughout the season. Well, for Maryland and their head coach, John Tillman, a big figure around Terrapin lacrosse for years was the late Dick Adele, and you see John Tillman on his shirt. It says "Big Man" on the front. What did Adele mean to this Maryland program?
He defined this program from 1984 until 2001, and not because he won 171 games, but because of the way he treated people, because of the way he connected with his players. To a man, former Maryland players loved the big man. He brought out their best. He was intense. He was energetic. He had such great pride. Those Maryland teams, man, they brought it. And Coach Adele maximized all the individuals.
When you think of Dick Adele, obviously his legacy and his love for his players, I'll tell you, as someone who competed against those Maryland teams, they were so physical. He brought the best out in each and every one of his athletes, and the physicality and how mean they were on defense. I just remember you were coming down the middle of the field and you were taking a shot, you were getting crushed. That's the way his defense, that lunch pail mentality in the 80s with guys like Dan Tracy and then Bubba Burlace and Dan Radeball in the 90s. Those guys were just so tough and would take your head off.
And Quint, the message on the back of those Maryland shirts, play with this and these. Care to explain?
No. Coach Adele was a kind man after he retired, and we wish the best to his wife Dolores and his 4 daughters. And, you know, he's got 2 horses in the race, so to speak, with Maryland and then with Albany and Scott Marr, who was an assistant there from 95 to 98.
There's Connor Kelly.
Big man taking care of these programs.
Always the big man, forever the big man in these parts.
Tell you guys, Pulver is doing a fantastic job on Kelly. I think this matchup has been great for Cornell.
DeMeo, high riser.
Terps shot the ball very well today after a slow start in that first quarter where they went 1 for 6.
Great ball movement, and Maryland cashes in again. Colin Giblin, the senior from Bethesda. Maryland starting to pull away.
Terps can taste it. Will Snyder, the hero of the overtime win against Johns Hopkins. Anytime Maryland has drawn double teams today, good things have happened. And watch Snyder cut right down the seam.
And Quint, I was mentioning Pulver doing a great one-on-one job on Connor Kelly, but the threat of Kelly on the outside does not give Pulver the option to pinch in and help out inside. So Connor Kelly's a presence, whether he's shooting the ball or not, just because of how lethal he is from that spot. Pulver really can't pinch and help.
Depth of scoring, Anish, is going to be critical for this Maryland team if they are to win this game and want to win a national championship. They are so heavily reliant on their top 5 that, you know, they need everybody to contribute. It can't just be Kelly and Bernhardt.
And right now they're winning the possession game. They've dominated the face-off X. Cornell has been unable to sustain any rhythm offensively.
They will strangle this game to a halt with a 5-goal lead.
Depth of scoring, Quint, last year with Isaiah Davis, Allen, Neufeld in the transition game. They had a number of long pole goals, I think double-digit long pole goals a season ago. Maryland, even without a ton of midfield depth, they were heavily reliant on their top 5 or 6 last year, but they found, you know, it seemed an extra goal or 2 from elsewhere, and that made the difference. And then the championship game, Adam DeMillo, 5 goals all season, 2 in the title game. Bubba Fairman with a 4-point afternoon. And Maryland's lead mushrooms to 6.
Freshman out of Utah, 19 years old, as blossomed late in the season. Eyes up, he gets the helper. Eyes up again, operating from X, dissecting the defense with a nice dish inside. Beautiful shot from the outside. Grip it and rip it off the skip pass. He can dodge, so he's drawing 2, and Snyder converts. Fairman has been the Terps' offensive MVP. He's had a career outing.
We might see a Bubba in Boston. 2 goals, 2 helpers for the number 2 recruit coming out of high school and the first Under Armour All-American out of the state of Utah.
We got good lacrosse there now, and Anisha mentioned 42 high schools. Park City being the A champs. It is I think it's one of the hotter emerging areas in the nation, Utah.
Kark, you spend a lot of time in Utah on the slopes. What do you attribute to the growth of lacrosse in that region?
Guys like Mike Acey, who's from Long Island, New York, and played elite level college lacrosse in North Carolina for the Tar Heels. And Coach Willie Scroggs and Dave Klarman, he moved to a place like Utah. So it's finding guys with lacrosse experience that love the game and live the game and can coach some of these young guys. And we see Bubba Fairman here today. How about Casey Rose, who's an extreme skier who plays for Rutgers? He's got another year of eligibility. he's at the upper echelon of the midfielders in the Big Ten. It's just the growth of the game. It's crazy that we're talking about kids like Utah. I didn't envision this 12, 15 years ago, that a guy like Bubba Fairman, as a freshman too, can step in. And yeah, he had some experience playing on the East Coast, but the game has grown. I mean, you look at places that it really didn't exist even 10, 15 years ago. How about our producer, John Ketter, in hometown Fairmount, and Tony Stingo winning the state title, West Virginia.
You look at this Maryland roster: Jared Bernhardt from Florida, Fairman from Utah, Will Snyder, Seattle, Washington, Anthony DeMeo, who's got a goal today, San Diego, Jack Welding, played at South Lake Carroll, which is a huge football power in the state of Texas. You know, on the surface, you would say if you're Maryland and you're John Tillman, you don't have to leave your backyard to recruit. He has shown he's willing to go anywhere to find the best player.
Yeah, two things stand out there. Strategically placed alums who are involved with high school and club lacrosse can be your eyes and your ears. And then Tillman telling us OTGs from Chris Peterson, University of Washington football. OTG means our type of guys. There's a lot of talent, but who's the right fit?
I should mention Dan Morris too, goalie out of Dallas.
You know what it is too, gentlemen? Some of these guys from the emerging areas, they're asked to play a lot of different roles on their high schools because they're not deep and they don't have tons of studs. So they have to be chameleon type players. So a guy like Bubba, you could play him anywhere.
Here comes Wisnauskas, redshirt freshman. Transferred to Maryland after a year at Syracuse to be closer to home. High school ball was played at Boys Latin. Quint is a frequent visitor to the Lost and Found.
Got my goalie camp June 3rd through 6th. Hopefully Christian Knight will be a counselor again. Fantastic with the younger kids.
Fairman with his third. A Sunday that belongs to Bubba.
Wow. He is a star. The potential is off the charts because, like I mentioned, play him anywhere. Moments ago, we saw him spraying 2 outside shots. Now he's going one-on-one against a long pole. Typically, the matchups for Maryland attack the shorty. Who's the guy or two that has the weak link? When you have a guy like Jared Bernhardt or Bubba Fairman, it doesn't matter. You feed the hot hand. You feed the alpha dog. This guy's a stud.
Subtle change of direction as he's curling up right-handed, and then the ability to soak checks and to run through it and have the confidence and strength.
He's 6'1", 200. He's going to get bigger and stronger. Only a freshman. And taking that face-off for Cornell, Paul Rasimovich, their #1 face-off man, hadn't played in 4 games for the Big Red, had been out with an arm injury. Down by 7. This is a Cornell team. They can score a lot of goals, but time is running out. Quint, what is their best chance of making this a ball game again?
They need help in terms of the possession war because they've hardly had the ball in this third quarter. So a change of face-offs would be beneficial.
Now they've tried everything.
Getting Jeff Teat involved once again, okay? You can say all you want about how good this offense looks while he's being shut off in a spectator. Folks, they have 4 goals. The numbers don't lie. When Jeff's a part of the O, they score 14 goals a game. When he's not, they score 8.
That was the one thing that stuck out when we talked to Peter Milliman. We asked him, why are you so comfortable playing 5-on-5 with Teat being shut off? His response was, I think our other 5 guys are pretty good. As Fletcher misses, Bryce Young wins the backup, Maryland gets it back.
The data says no, Coach. That's not correct.
And we've talked to other coaches who have told us if you remove Teat from the equation, it changes what Cornell does offensively. It changes their efficiency, their effectiveness. It scrambles their DNA. And even if it has to take a defense out of its comfort zone, it makes Cornell even more uncomfortable offensively, which is a trade-off most coaches are willing to do.
Maryland now will manage clock and score.
This is I wouldn't say insurmountable, but it's pretty close. Connor Kelly, now Giblin, senior econ major, slips. Here comes Kelly against Pulver, bounces off a defender. Kelly, skip pass to Wisnauskas, out of bounds. Cornell ball.
That was a brilliant look, Anish. It was right on his stick. I mean, a zip. His skip passing and lobs to the weak side this season have been notable. It's a Maryland team playing in the Big Ten, Clark. It's become a half-field league. It's a really overcoached, slow-down league. But Maryland it has been terrific in half-field scenarios.
They have. I mean, they have the master when it comes to preparation. And John Tillman has every piece of the puzzle hand on every aspect of the game. But you're right, you have the best minds, or some of the best minds in college lacrosse. And that could be a gift, but it also, at times, puts the flow of the game a little bit in jeopardy in terms of the excitement and the ability for players really to express themselves.
Telesco fighting through a double. Maryland ball. The Terps just quicker to the end line, quicker to the 50-50 balls.
But I will say, Quint, when you've watched a few of the games this year, the skill level in the Big Ten, when you watch the Penn State-Hopkins game and some of those types of games, there was a lot of up and down. And then you had the games that were really, really tight, and, you know, the 6-5 type games. But seen a little bit of both.
The only up and down I really saw from the league was Rutgers at times, and then Hopkins at times. But the Blue Jays ranked 58th in pace. The Terps ranked 68th in pace. It was a half-court league this year.
Penn State at times, too. They were able to
terrific half-court offense using their picks, their high screens. Nick Spillane had a big year, of course, O'Keefe.
20 seconds to go in this third quarter. The Big Ten office has an APB for Quint Kesnick. Connor Kelly. Again, looking for the cutter. That time it was Bernhardt. Loose ball, far sideline, 3 seconds. And that brings us to the end of quarter number 3. Cornell held scoreless in the third. Maryland tallies 5 goals. Bubba Fairman blowing up. 11-4. Terps 15 minutes away from getting back to championship weekend. A beautiful Sunday afternoon in Annapolis. We're at Navy Marine Corps Stadium. Maryland, with a 5-0 third quarter run, has a 7-goal lead going into the fourth quarter. The Terps on the verge of a 5th straight championship weekend appearance. Career game for the freshman Bubba Fairman. Maryland's defense has held Jeff Teat to just 1 assist. And this Cornell offense, which came in leading the country in shooting percentage, 40%, is 4 for 28 today.
You give John Tillman and Jesse Bernhardt, their defensive coordinator, a week to prepare, and they're buttoned up. You know, it's one thing about Maryland. You want to play them on a short week, as Johns Hopkins proved in that Big Ten final.
Rasimovich was at the faceoff X for Cornell, coming back from that injury. And we get an early timeout by Maryland just 14 seconds into this fourth quarter.
Possession-saving timeout.
Timeout called by Maryland.
We'll step aside as well. It felt like we just stepped aside a few minutes ago. Back this time for real. Anish Shroff, Quint Kesnick, Paul Carcaterra, Navy Marine Corps Stadium looking stunning on this Sunday afternoon. We had 2 quarterfinal games in Hempstead, New York yesterday. Yale and Albany getting to championship weekend. Some new blood. Maryland with a 7-goal lead, looking to get back to the semifinals. And the final quarterfinal game, Duke and Johns Hopkins. That follows Maryland and Cornell. Blue Jays and Blue Devils met in the first round last year. Duke won 19-6.
Ain't going to be 19-6 this year, Anish.
Maryland has the defense hung up. Fairman, a career-high 5 points, a hat trick to go along with 2 assists. Now Bernhardt, get a big first half. Cornell has not scored since the 2:40 mark of the second quarter. Bernhardt reverses field. Maryland is going to be patient. 7-goal lead. They've been winning faceoffs. Snyder.
I attributed that goal prior to Snyder. It was actually Giblin, Colin Giblin, 4 and 5. Pulverized. He's had a good game. He has had a strong game. Jake Pulver, the senior, Syracuse. I don't think he was drafted Major League Lacrosse, Kark. He's a guy I'd pick up in a second as a free agent. I'm really impressed.
Leader, can communicate, bench presses over 400 pounds, has a mohawk, looks mean.
What else do you need?
Yeah, I mean, he's got good feet. Next.
He's persevered, a profile in courage. We told you earlier, had his large intestine removed 7 years ago this May. Ulcerative colitis is what he battled in high school, a digestive disease. As Cornell throws it away. And for the Big Red, they've been sloppy offensively. They have not had the ball. The face-off advantage has gone to Maryland. And for one of the top offenses in the country right now, the Big Red is staring at a drought of 19-plus minutes. Bryce Young, he got greedy.
Look, they've had no answers from Maryland's defense. And Peter Milliman, who's the interim head coach, has done a terrific job this season. Remember, they only won, 5 games last year?
5 games.
Picked to come in 5th in the Ivy League. So he's turned this thing around quickly. They've had a wonderful year, high-scoring team. Late in the year, at times, the offense has really struggled when Teet's been taken out of the equation.
Here is Giblin on the invert. DeMeo, top shelf for his second goal. The freshman from San Diego. And that is 8 unanswered.
This is a San Diego sidewinder.
6 unanswered.
DeMeo just sizzles from a sidearm release to a top shelf placement. Watch how quickly this is in and out of the stick. Boom.
Wow. Credit out Adam DeMillo as well, understanding where the pressure is coming from. When a midfielder drives down that side, rolls back, he knows that red shirts will be all over him. And DeMeo, man, you haven't seen that on tape this season. He's a really sure-handed man-up guy, but that was heat.
Championship weekend next weekend from Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, and all session tickets start as low as $55, single session as low as $10. For more ticket info and championship updates, check out ncaa.com/lacrosse.
We ship up there on Thursday. Hope to see everybody at Patriot Place and then in Gillette Stadium. D2, D3, D1 weekend festival.
Does Patriot Place have a yoga studio for you to get your yoga in?
No, actually Copley was best for that, but they got a great gym there. Do they have any shake shops where you can get your vegan kale smoothie?
That's on the research list for the week. Anish Shroff, Quint Kesnick, Paul Carcaterra with you. The third of 4 quarterfinal games. First of 2 today in Annapolis, Maryland. The defending champion Terps with a 12-4 lead. Maryland has scored 6 straight goals. Cornell, one of the top offenses in the country, has not scored in the second half. And if the Terps take this 8-goal lead to the finish line, they'll get the championship weekend for a 5th consecutive season. And for the 7th time in head coach John Tillman's 8 years at the helm.
That's crazy when you think about today's standards. Syracuse obviously went on that 22 straight Final Four run, but Lacrosse was different then.
That one hit the crossbar. Cornell just can't catch a break. Duke had 8 straight trips to championship weekend. Now a 3-year drought with the senior class looking to get there with a win against Johns Hopkins today. Dowiak ends the long scoring drought for Cornell.
Slight defensive hesitation from Maryland. You could hear the goalie say, T.O., T.O. That's Tom O'Connell, 11 in white. And the goalie was trying to alert him that he's the hot guy. So right here he yells out, T.O. Look at the left side of your screen. There's 11. He's got to go. He's late. Turn and rake. Communication leading to execution is a signature of a good defense.
Dowiak has put together an incredible senior season. Hovering around 40 goals from the midfield is elite type of scoring production. And he's done it in a variety of ways. He can set his feet and rip it. There you saw him using his strength to get to the middle of the field and understanding that Maryland was out of sorts. Smart player.
And Kark, he is shooting almost 40% as a midfielder.
Yeah, he's not a crease guy, too. I mean, it's not Matt Posque, who's playing on the high crease, who is an amazing player at Virginia.
Piatelli shooting wide. Teat there to back up. Does he remind you a little of you?
Of me? I haven't thought of that. I mean, I wasn't a guy that would go to the cage a ton. I was known as a guy who would like to shoot from the outside, could dodge off a ball movement a lot like him. He's got red hair. I got brown hair.
There's Dowiak again on cue. Back-to-back goals for Cornell. 12-6.
I'll tell you what. This guy's my stunt double. I might tell my kids when I get home if they saw the game that Dad played like that. Maybe they'll give me a little more respect around the house. But the fact of the matter is, as a shooter, you salivate when you feel defensive pressure going down the field with the other Dodger. And that's what Maryland did. Fletcher took the ball down the alley, and all the eyes went to Fletcher, 27 in red. Dowiak stays high because he knows that if he catches that ball, he's going to have time and room to set his feet, and that's what shooters love.
It's a great assist by Fletcher, Paul, and it's a good point. As a midfield Dodger, you can push the ball forward, you can pull pass and throw it back to where you came from, or you can skip it through the defense. College coaches and high school coaches frown on jamming the ball inside. That was a terrific skip off the dodge by Fletcher.
Dowiak, a senior captain, can expect a care package from Carcaterra.
He's a good kid. I met him a few years ago.
Performance sweatpants coming his way?
Capris,
look, man,
perhaps?
There's something that Jordan Dowiak and I probably have in common. If you ever worked out with us, you would cry for help.
How much of that workout is spent staring at your calves in the mirror?
Wow. Kark's crying issue is from the hair product that sweats into his eyes.
I felt bad for Kark yesterday in the pouring rain, especially that Loyola Yale game.
I didn't.
It was good. I didn't mind it. I had a good Gore-Tex outfit on. New galoshes that are anxiously awaiting next football season, and the event that have some tumultuous weather?
You know, before the game, Quint debated maybe switching roles with Kark for the second game. With the shot clock on Maryland, it'll reset as Wisnauskas got it on goal. And then after the first game, Quint looked at me and said, you know what? Kark wants to switch Sunday in Annapolis. When the weather's nicer, I'm fine with that. I'm staying up here in the enclosed booth at Hofstra.
Officials making Maryland inbound the ball from where it went out. I'm talking about the shot clock right now. PJ Kalillo, Tom Holand, and Jim Blankner. Officiating's been good in this NCAA tournament.
Maryland, if it holds on, would get either Duke or Johns Hopkins in one of the two semifinals in Foxborough. Yale and Albany will play in the other semi. In the regular season, Yale demolished then top-ranked Albany. That was the game where Connor Fields re-injured his knee, had to come out of that game in the first half. Chris Fake shut down to Hogan Nanticoke. What a treat it was to watch Nanticoke. If you haven't seen him, the freshman from Albany, comes at you like a minotaur. Denver tried to play him with physicality. He feeds off that, doesn't he, Paul?
If you haven't seen him, you're not watching lacrosse. He is an amazing talent. I honestly think the Hogan Nanticoke has some of the best hands I've ever seen. You could put him in a major league lacrosse game tomorrow. Surround him with some high-flying midfielders who can pass. He can score 5 or 6 goals at the highest level tomorrow. And he's never covered. And that is a gift to play with a guy like that. Because if you're a feeder, you know, even if it looks like he's covered, this guy's catching everything.
Probably score 7 against your brother.
That would mean 15 against you.
All right, goal a minute is possible here. It's a 6-goal margin, 6 and change to go.
That was not said with confidence, but Dowiak playing with confidence. He's got 4. That was his 40th of the season. And if Cornell is to come back, 23 is going to have something to say about it.
Look, the grit, courage, and effort of these guys in red, they're not going to quit. And it's possible. I mean, you look up and you're down 5 with 3 minutes to go. There's a little doubt. But 6 with 6 minutes to go is very doable. Now it's 5 with 6 and change. So you know, the math works. The question, though, are possessions. And it's so often is triggered by Fogo dominance.
Fletcher is understanding the process of dodging with his head up. And I think this guy, 27 in red, is a star in the making. And Dowiak, as a shooter, when you're hitting the back of the net, your confidence skyrockets. Your range then can increase. And he's a senior, man. He's not going to hold back in this fourth quarter.
5 points for Dowiak, 4 goals and an assist. And Fletcher has assisted on the last 2. Cornell had a big win last month against Syracuse. Fletcher was a big key in that win, running by the Syracuse defensive midfielders, drawing slides, getting the defense to move. And now with a face-off win, let's see if Cornell can cut it to 4. Kark, at some point you would think Jeff Teat has to be engaged if Cornell is going to have any chance of completing a comeback or getting it to within striking distance.
Wow!
Maybe not. Fletcher and Dowiak doing the heavy lifting in the fourth quarter for Cornell. It's 12-8.
Showing a little bit of everything. Fletcher was the feeder on the last 2 Dowiak shots that hit the back of the net. This time he takes it himself. When you're in the 5-on-5 set, the defensive slide changes. But in all honesty, it doesn't matter because of the shot location. Morris, a righty goalie, you cannot ask for better placement than that.
4 straight from the Big Red. They've taken all those shots from the middle of the field. I mentioned it earlier. Severe angle shots, Morris clogs up the goal. He's an All-American. When you make a move in the middle of the goal, not so sure.
What's been Maryland's Achilles heel this season?
Midfield defense right there has been not great. Now, obviously, the slide packages, as Paul just mentioned, are different in a 5-on-5 situation. They're longer. They're easier to see offensively.
Big ground ball picked up by Maryland. They'll play it back to Morris. Cornell into its 10-man ride. Donville chasing Young, who gets away. Goal is open. Now Christian Knight retreating into goal. Here come the Terps. Too easy for Jared Bernhardt. The sophomore with a hat trick, and Maryland able to break the press.
That's wonderful execution and patience from Bryce Young, the defender who deals with heavy pressure right here, runs by his man, and then keeps his eyes up. This is just about being the best athlete on the field. And Jared Bernhardt dusts his man, but 41 in white deserves a lot of credit. Bernhardt works back to make that an easy pass, and his brother celebrates on the bench.
Speed kills. I'd like to see a 40 between Jesse Bernhardt, who's a Team USA long stick midfielder, and his younger brother, Jared. But what impressed me about that as well, Quint, when he caught it, instead of running straight, every step was towards the middle of the field, and at the last second, he knew that if he shot right, he would have been trail checked. He switches it over to his left.
An elite athlete from an athletic family, not just Jared. Remember, Jake Bernhardt, also an All-American at Maryland, like Jesse and Jared. Salvatore trying to get that face-off for Cornell. And it's going to be Maryland ball.
Rasimowicz, I think, won this face-off initially. That's why the players were released on the attack and defensive side. These officials have met a lot to discuss some of these calls today.
Do you agree with that, Quint?
I got to see it again. Is possession established right here? Yes, there's possession. Everybody's allowed out of the box.
Yeah.
That, as Coach Millman said, that is a bad call.
It's a bad break for Cornell, down by 5 with 5+ to go. Bernhardt. Connor Kelly today only has 1 goal. And it hasn't really mattered much for Maryland. Wisnauskas.
He's been willing to play whatever role this season, whether it's Dodger shooter, leader, facilitator.
Wears the #1 jersey for a reason. That jersey goes to the player who embodies performance and leadership on and off the field. Kelly wore 40 last year as we get a shot clock on Maryland. Matt Rambo, the Tewaaraton Award winner a season ago, wore #1. Well, for a while now, that number has gone to the alpha on Maryland. It was Rambo, it was Mike Chanchuk, Grant Catalino, Joe Walters, and next year it's going to be Jared Bernhardt.
What we don't see on Saturdays is Connor Kelly visiting hospitals, spending time after practice with young fans, spending a half hour after every game signing autographs. He has been the face of this program this year, and he has represented Maryland lacrosse and the sport of lacrosse in a first-class and amazing patient, selfless fashion. And I thank Connor for all of that he's done. Great kid.
A lot of that credit goes to John Tillman as well in regards to the way that he's built the culture here at Maryland. They do a lot in the community. Selfless attitudes, and I think a lot of that comes from Tillman's years at the Naval Academy as an assistant coach, just understanding, giving. It's not about you.
A lot of memories in this game for John Tillman, a Cornell alumnus, as you mentioned, coaching at Navy. .318 to go, Kark. Do you think if he wanted to, he could play Candy Crush on the iPad right now?
Yeah, it's not in his DNA. I'll tell you what, though, with Teat as he throws up to Fletcher, I'd be a little concerned if I was Cornell moving forward into next year in regards to Jeff Teat being shut off, because I've seen superstars for decades now being shut off. Cornell, I think, heading into next year, every defense is going to do this against Jeff Teat because it's completely changed the complexity of the offense, Quint.
Well, here it is, Kark. Before the Ivy League tournament, Cornell was the highest scoring team in the nation, goals per game. Better than 14 plus. In their final game before the Ivy League tournament against Princeton, who shut off Jeff Teat, Cornell scored 8, then scored 7 against Brown. Yale decided to play Cornell straight up. The Big Red won that game scoring 14. Then against Syracuse, Cornell scored 10. Today, 8. You take a great offense, you make it average when you shut them off.
But the bigger picture for me, and I don't really know if this is the word, but it almost seems like their willingness to play that way. Because we see guys get shut off all the time. Pat Spencer for Loyola gets shut off. Ben Reeves gets shut off. But they have a drive and an aggressive attitude in terms of getting the ball and getting involved in the offense.
Maryland able to handle the ride. Less than 2 minutes to go. The Terps on their way to championship weekend for a 5th consecutive year. And for Connor Kelly and these Maryland seniors, a win today would give this senior class 62 wins. That's the most by any senior class in school history, one more than the class of 2017. In what has been a topsy-turvy lacrosse season. Kark, one that's been unpredictable at times. I think all of us felt for the duration of the year, if there is one team that you would bet the mortgage on to get to championship weekend, Maryland, right?
Yeah, it was Maryland. I think when every team played at its best, to me, Yale is the best I've seen in college lacrosse. But if I had to put the mortgage on it, early in the season, middle of the season, they just have figured this out. They figured out the journey. They figured out how to get to the pinnacle of the sport, which is the Final Four. And to do it 7 out of the 8 last years is just crazy. And on the other bench, too, as I sit here in the middle of the box, let's give some credit to Pete Milliman.
No question.
Who's an interim tag. Get the tag off of him. Enough already.
Yeah, a lot's been made about the strategy with Jeff Teat. What you cannot diminish is how he has turned this team around so quickly. 5 wins a season ago, 13 this year, with a chance to play for a spot in a national semifinal. Cornell still battling till the end. The roar is for Maryland. And a familiar refrain in college lacrosse. The Terps are headed to championship weekend once again. Our Capital One player of the game, the freshman out of Utah, Bubba Fairman. Huge second half, finishing with a career-high 5 points